You're listening to the Tao of Indifference, sex, dating, and relationship advice for an indifferent world. For more advice and tips, check out taoofindifference.com or follow us on Twitter at indifferent_D.
Hello, listeners, and welcome to the Tao of Indifference. I am your host, Demetrius, joined by my co-host, my bro-host, Laney. Laney, what's up?
Hanging in there.
Good, because today's topic is 6 signs it's time to break up. Luckily, neither one of us is going through a breakup right now.
Okay.
High fives. Awesome. First, we're going to get into some questions from the Relationship Advice Reddit, because these are people who have questions about breakup. So, without further delay, here's your first question. This question was submitted by user 555-6792. That sounds... I thought it was going to go 867-5309, but... Nope. The question topic is, I want to break up with my live-in girlfriend, but I feel she's too dependent on me. Oof. Alright. My girlfriend and I have been together for about 2 years and have lived together for about 1 year. In order to move in with me, she quit her job and moved to a new city away from her family and friends. However, for various reasons, I think we need to just cut our ties and move on and break up. Perhaps the most important reason for this is that I feel as though I don't love her, and perhaps I never did. Ugh. Since moving in with me, I've essentially supported her. Bless you.
Thank you.
God bless you. For the last year, I have paid 100% of the rent and about 80% of the utilities in the apartment. This doesn't sound good. For years, she has been unemployed. Ugh. That part wasn't in the question. That was me. Oof, that's rough. For years, she's been unemployed, though I would argue that she isn't really trying, which is even worse. I've given up on even asking if she's looking for work because it just turns into an argument that I'd rather not have. Both of our names are on the lease, which has another year on it. I am financially stable, but I don't think I can handle paying for this apartment and another place, but I also don't think we could cohabitate after a breakup. To make matters worse, she's essentially broke and has started to build up what appears to be a substantial amount of debt, in addition to student loans. So, I have a girlfriend I don't love, who lives in a city where she knows almost no one, has no job, no money, and no prospects for improvement. Does anyone have any advice on how to handle this? I have advice on this.
Okay.
I will go first. First, this kind of situation happened to me. The only living girlfriend I had, neither one of us was financially dependent on the other.
Yeah.
But there came a point where I was like, I need to leave, but I couldn't immediately leave, so I had to wait like 2 or 3 months. I broke up with her in July and then moved out of her apartment in September, which was super awkward. But should you break up with her? Yes, absolutely. Why would you want to be in a relationship with someone you don't love? Is it your fault that she doesn't seem to be trying to look for a job? Nope. And about the apartment, what do you think you should do with the apartment? It's rough, right?
Yeah, that's
why I
tough.
picked these, because these are really... That one's a tough one.
I think it's... Unless it's a 2-bedroom apartment, upstairs and downstairs, it's really... It's like...
A duplex. There's
It's really hard to live with someone and not have any kind of relationship. Or it's going to be a bad relationship if we try to ignore each other, pretend like you weren't together a week ago, and now you're walking in the house at the same time.
So it's not going to work.
Yeah,
he has to move out.
Yeah, he has to move out.
So, would you like to know what I would do?
What would you do?
All right. So I tell her, listen, I'm sorry, this is how I feel. About the apartment, I'm going to move out. I'm going to notify the landlord that I'm moving out. You can keep the apartment if you want to. I'm breaking the lease. I'm willing to lose my security deposit. You can get a roommate. You can do whatever you want with the apartment. You can move out. You can leave. But I'm getting off this lease. I'm breaking the lease. I'm leaving. I'm giving you notice. I mean, I have no problem waiting a month. Maybe I won't stay with you during this month. Maybe I will live with friends, couch surf, whatever the case may be. But I'm leaving.
Yeah.
So you have a month to figure out what you're going to do. And because to a certain point, it sucks that she left her city to come live with you, and you realize suddenly that you don't love her. But you're not her parent.
Yeah.
You're not financially responsible. You shouldn't be financially responsible for someone who especially is not looking to work. It'd be different if you're married and times are tough and she can't find a job. It sounds like she just sort of sits on her butt all day and, like, what is she spending her money on if she's not paying rent?
Yeah.
So, move out, break the lease, lose your security deposit. Just realize that when you move someone to another city and you get on a lease with them for 2 years or 3 years, the chances are you might have to break a lease and lose the security deposit. It's worth it. It's 100% worth it. You do not want to live in a hostile environment. Yeah. Though mine wasn't actually hostile. My ex-girlfriend was actually pretty reasonable about it. But to your point about whether or not you can live with someone, like, we definitely were hooking up after we broke up until I moved out.
Yeah, but, you know, that's you acknowledging the fact that you're still going to be doing stuff.
You're still going to be hooking up.
Yeah.
Because it's so familiar.
Yeah.
All right. So, second question, which is even more depressing. That's why there's only 2 questions.
Okay.
So, second question is, should I break up with her now? Submitted by Irreconcilable Diffs. I like that. Irreconcilable Differences. This one is rough. My girlfriend and I have been together for 4 years. I have always wanted to have children eventually, and have expressed my desire very clearly since the first year of our relationship. That's good, right?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
My girlfriend was on board with the plan to have children until tonight, when she broke down crying and told me she cannot have children because of her medical condition.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, this is why I picked this. This is so meaty. I've known about her condition all along, but the pregnancy complications are specific to her situation and took me by surprise. Although it breaks my heart, I think the only way I will have the kind of life I want is if I break up with her and eventually find another woman.
Ouch.
Yeah. This makes me feel like a gigantic asshole who is abandoning his woman, but our differences appear irreconcilable. Hence the name. So far, I have just told her that this new news makes me very sad and is a lot to absorb. But I can tell what she really wanted to hear is that I'll stay with her anyway. Is this a good plan, or could there be anything to gain by waiting a week or so and seeing what happens? The breakup will be absolutely devastating to her. How can I minimize her pain? Thanks in advance for your advice. I don't know who else to turn to. This one was tough.
Yeah.
This one was incredibly tough because, on the one hand, I'm all about people getting what they want, and, like, they need to be with people who want the same things.
Yeah.
And in this case, she wants the same things. She just can't give him what he wants. Specifically, it sounds like it's less about having a child and more about having a child who is, 50% of his genetic material instead of adopting. So, should you break up with her? Yes. Because ultimately, you're going to live a life that is unfulfilling for you if you really want children that badly. Should you break up with her right now? Maybe not. Because she just got terrible, terrible news about the fact that she will never be able to raise children again. And it's obviously something she wanted to do before she heard this news. So maybe don't, pile on all the crap that she's dealing with. Because she's clearly dealing with a lot. But you can't stay with somebody. You're going to leave her eventually. And you want kids and she can't give you that. And sadly, you have to leave. Delaney, what do you think? Do you think that I'm just a terrible person for making you answer?
No, I don't think you're a terrible person, but in his situation, he should leave because it sounds like he wants to leave.
Yeah.
But I think in other people's situations, when you hear news like that where you want children, there's always the option of surrogates. So you can still have your 50% DNA.
Right.
Or
There's so many options.
Or it could be like she's not able to carry 9 months. You can still take her egg and it'll be in another woman. So it's technically 100% both of your child. But so it's like I don't think you should give up just because.
That's a good point. It sounds like he specifically wants her to be the person carrying his kid.
Yeah.
Whereas that same living girlfriend that I mentioned, she was a surrogate.
Mm.
Yeah. And I have another friend who was a surrogate. And I've seen she has like pictures of them.
Yeah.
She did it twice. And it's like, cool. Like, that's a perfectly viable situation.
Yeah.
And gives a lot of money to a young lady.
Yeah.
But yeah, if it's me, if my girlfriend told me tomorrow, hey, listen, I cannot rear a child in my body, I would probably go the route of, all right, well, let's look at other options.
Yeah.
It's not that important. Like, genetics don't really matter to me that much. I mean, you know, if my kid's not tall, it's not the end of the world. Oh, that's me. Why didn't I silence my phone?
Yeah.
I'm a terrible person. Sorry. I'm going to have to edit that out.
Okay.
Yeah, so let's talk about editing. You know, it's actually fairly simple to edit. I'll show you how it's done. It's actually really easy.
You about to do it right now?
No, I'm going to edit it. I'm using this as, like, this conversation is going to remind me that I need to cut it out.
Okay.
Yeah. My phone used to be on silent, no vibrate, and I just discovered how to put vibrate on.
Oh.
All right, to resume.
Okay.
All right, we're going to resume. So, back to what I was saying before I was interrupted by my sister calling me to bother me. I would go for the surrogate, adoption, whatever the case may be. And let's give it a shot. I wouldn't, especially if I'm been with someone for 4 years.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't have the same value in this is my child from my DNA and, you know, my partner's DNA. Like, it doesn't hold the same value for me. You know, there's so many kids who would love to be adopted and not grow up in the system. So
Yeah.
for him specifically, because he clearly wants out now.
Yeah.
Get out. But just do it. Give it some time. You know, you could wait a month. She gave you 4 years. You could wait a month.
Yeah.
And, you know, you have to be honest. Like, I'm sorry. And, you know, you are going to be the asshole in this. You know, she's not wrong. She can't be wrong in this situation. You're the asshole.
Yeah.
But you're not a bad person. Any more thoughts?
No. That's one thing I want to say. I don't think he's a bad person. I just think, you know, everybody has their own things they want in life and how they want to get it. And, you know, he may not be able to bend.
Yeah. No.
So,
what do you think you wouldn't bend on? I'm trying to think of what I would not bend on. If suddenly, like 4 years into a relationship, my girlfriend said, this is a new thing and it's not what it was before. I can't think of anything.
I can't think of anything either.
Because, like, if she became religious, I'd say, all right, you know, as long as you're still cool in my lifestyle, you can be religious, whatever. You know, it's rough. I'm sure there is something.
Yeah, I just can't think of it.
I'm sure if she was a vegetable.
Oh, yeah.
Because then it's like, well, we're not married.
Or if my girlfriend became a fairy, or, like, an actual size of fairy.
That'd be kind of cool. I mean, you could never have sex, but, you know. Peter Pan had Tinkerbell, and they clearly had a healthy relationship.
That's true.
But Peter Pan was traditionally played by women in theater, so maybe it was a lesbian relationship.
Yeah.
Who knows? Okay. No more questions because those two, like, just drain the soul out of me. Yeah, those are rough. All right, so 6 signs it's time to break up. Delaney, when was the last time you had a breakup? How many years ago?
It was... Oh, actually, you know, I was in a relationship in 2013. 13?
Really?
Yeah, it would last 3 months.
How did that breakup go?
It was one of my usual excuses.
Why did you break up with her?
I was not interested anymore.
Well, how did you know you weren't interested?
Just because I originally was in a relationship with her because she reminded me of someone else.
Ooh.
And then
it
didn't become good enough.
No. Seriously?
Yeah.
Oh, man, that's terrible. I've dated girls because of that, but never a relationship. Let's see. Before, I mean, I've had a lot of breakups. Not the last one before my current girlfriend, but a one before my current girlfriend where I ended it was, I was like casually dating a girl who doesn't have a name right now. You know, Becky, whatever.
Yeah.
We'll call her Becky. So I was dating Becky. We used to hang out a bunch, go to her place, go to my place. We went out for bars and drinks. She never really met my friends. I never met her friends, but we like casually dated for like a year, maybe 10 months. A while, but It wasn't ever too serious. And eventually I ended things because I felt like they really weren't going anywhere. It was like 10 months in, and I couldn't see a future with this person. She'd be like, hey, when are we gonna meet friends and do X, Y, Z? And eventually she just stopped asking because I kept putting it off. But she was happy to exist in this weird dating, not dating.
Yeah.
And I just knew we had no future, so I ended it. Yeah. That one I actually had a conversation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I said, hey, this is the deal. She was like, are you sure? Because I don't want a relationship. And I was like, yeah, but I want one eventually, maybe. So, that was it. Becky. That's not her name. So, the way that I knew that it wasn't, I had to end it was because I couldn't see a future with her. So, yours was, she reminded you of someone, and that was it.
Well, I mean, I couldn't see a future with someone who was the secondary.
Oh, 2.0?
Yeah.
So, here are 6 signs it's time to break up. Number 1, you don't enjoy your time together. I've definitely dated briefly girls who I realized after hanging out with them, like we'd split up and I'd be like, God, I'm drained.
Yeah.
Just annoyed by them. Have you ever dated someone who you realized you didn't even like?
Yes.
That was so quick. You didn't even give it any thought. Yes, 100%. You argue all the time. Now, there's a difference between arguing and just, like, disagreeing. Me and my girlfriend disagree a bunch. But we don't argue a ton. I mean, we do argue. But I would say that 10% of the time is when I'm like, okay, I don't like this. Or she says, okay, I don't like this. But 90% of the time, chilling.
Yeah.
But I've definitely dated a girl who we argued every time we saw each other. Every single time. And it was just draining. Like, I dreaded being around her. And, yeah. What about you?
I've had that in parts of relationships that started out good. Like, they started out good, and then
spirals.
and then it just became, now all we do is argue. And it's, like, about things that don't matter, like plates. Or who's gonna clean the dishes after we eat, or
that matters.
That does matter, but not
all the time.
Not I'm gonna break up with you and then we're gonna get back together 2 hours from now or something.
Yeah, that's not worth it.
Yeah.
Number 3, you never resolve your issues. So, I'll take your plates for the example, or the dishes. If you constantly argue about the dishes, there's a bigger issue than the dishes.
Yeah.
If you're arguing about one thing and it just seems to be the recurring issue and you never resolve it and you're never taking steps to resolve it, it's a bigger issue. And you might be looking like you're toward the end of your relationship. Just a thought. Number 4 is you'd rather spend time away from them. And I think it's a weird balance because when you don't live with your partner, part of wanting to like not spend time with them is like, oh, I just want to go home and be in my environment and just be comfortable.
Yeah.
Because I get that. Like, I'll hang out and I'm like, okay, I want to just go home and play video games or like watch TV that I want to watch. But then, the next day I'm like, okay, I'm ready to not be home by myself.
Yeah.
But if you can think of like what you'd rather be doing and it's always not being with the person that you're with, that's a really bad sign.
Yeah.
I have never had that, actually. I've never really had that with anyone I was dating seriously. I always wanted to spend time with them. And then when I spend time with them, I'm like, oh, I don't like them. But I never wanted to not spend time with them more often than not. What about you?
I've definitely wanted to spend more time with other people than...
Yeah. That's even worse. If it's less about being alone and more about, this other girl is way more fun.
Yeah.
Then that's a real issue. Or like, oh, I'd rather just be with my friends.
Yeah. That has happened to me.
That, I said it, and now when I think about it, I've dated girls, and I'm like, yeah, but my friends are doing something. And the something will be like sitting in an apartment.
Yeah.
Smoking weed. And like playing dominoes. And I'm like, yeah, it's great that you want to take me out and pay for everything for this fancy dinner. I'm just going to go to Williamsburg and hang out in an apartment and play dominoes. That sounds way better. So, yeah, that's a really bad sign. And of course, not dating that person anymore. Number 5, you are no longer affectionate or intimate. That's simple.
Yeah.
The sex thing, it's not about just sex and how much you have sex and how often you have sex, because eventually all couples have sex a lot less than when they first started dating and they're having all the sex they could.
Yeah.
It's more about affection and intimacy. If you feel like you're in bed with a stranger, it's not a good sign. If they won't touch you, you don't want to touch them. Those are all really clearly signs that you should not be together. Has that ever happened to you?
No.
Sorry, Mr. Stamina.
Well,
Jeez Louise.
I mean, I've had nights where I didn't want to be touched, or they didn't want me to touch them.
Sure, yeah,
but
that's normal.
Not like a long period of time of...
Yeah, it's a long period of time. It's all about how long is this an issue. And if it's like a consistent thing, then that's a bigger issue.
Yeah.
And finally, number 6, you're not in love. You don't love this person.
But what if it's like a like relationship? Can those last? Do you think I like you can last a while?
I think when I say you're not in love, I'm assuming that you've been with this person long enough to have fallen in love with them.
Okay.
If you're with someone and you don't believe in love, disregard number 6.
Okay.
But even then, like, I don't know. I feel like the people who are like, I don't believe in love. Really though, because it's a scientific thing. When they see the person they're in love with, their brain says, turn these chemicals on.
Yeah. Because
these things make me happy. They're like, seeing them is like eating a piece of cake, or it is a scientifically proven thing. Your brain does a certain thing around the person that they love.
Yeah.
So the people who are like, I don't believe in love, you're like the people who don't believe in vaccinations. Like, you're dumb.
Yeah.
Like, okay, whatever. Like, those people, like, I've never found anyone who said, I don't believe in love, and maintains it, and, like, continues with it as an adult. Like, never seen those people in, like, a really happy, lasting, long-term relationship.
That's true.
It's anecdotal. It's only what I've seen. And I would like for someone to say, no, I don't believe in love, and I'm in a really happy, committed, long-term relationship full of like.
Yeah.
I've just never heard of it.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows? Maybe there is. I challenge the reader. Not challenge. I dare the readers, or I encourage the readers.
Motivate.
/ listeners to tell me about that, because I don't think that you can have a lasting long-term relationship without love. It's like, if you're a parent who doesn't love their kid, it's not going to work out, If you're a partner who doesn't love their partner, maybe if two people who don't believe in love get together, they can have a nice, boring, relationship for the rest of their lives, but I don't see it happening. But, especially so, if you're not currently in love, that's fine. But if it's been a year, 2 years, 3 years, and you haven't fallen in love, or you've fallen out of love, especially if you've fallen out of love, time to go. Time to peace out. Time to say, see you when I see you.
Okay.
Yeah. What do you think? Has that ever happened to you? That has happened to me.
Fallen out of love?
Fallen out of love.
Yes. I have fallen out of love.
Oh, sorry.
It was a dark time. No.
It was. It was clearly a dark time.
But what I think what I did that was incorrect was I tried to fall back in love with the wrong tools. Like, I feel like you can fall back in love. It's just you can't go back in the same way where it originally started.
Can't go back the way you can.
Yeah.
You can only move forward.
You could, or like try a different direction.
Huh.
Okay.
I think so. I think that if you're married long enough, that you're gonna get to a point where all the things that you originally were so infatuated with are gonna fade.
Yeah. So
you can fall back into that infatuation and love, but it has to be different.
Yeah.
If you met when you were 20 and at 45 you're trying to charm them the way you did when you were 20, it's not gonna work.
Yeah, they're no longer 20.
Yeah, you're at a different point in your relationship.
Yeah.
I guess the key is the idea for me is, because I don't know, I haven't been married, This is my longest relationship, and it's not that long, considering I'm 30-ish. Almost. R.I.P. I just crossed myself. You can't see me. But I think the idea is to keep someone in love with you by just getting better, like being a better version of yourself every year.
Yeah.
Because people fall out of love when you become less of what you were, and the less doesn't have a lot to do with how you look, but how you treat them and how you act and how you react to things and how you grow, your patience and all those sort of things. So, do you have any other tips for noticing, like, hey, it might be time to break up?
Any other tips?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you hit them all.
I like to think so, too.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I write these things. My only other one is if you feel like you can't talk to them anymore, if you feel like you just cannot speak to them anymore without upsetting them or them upsetting you, if you lose communication, if communication shuts down, that's a really big sign, because communication in a relationship is way more important than sex.
Yeah.
And I think that, when you're 80, you're probably going to communicate a lot more than you're going to be sexing.
Yeah.
I think that's it. Delaney, do you want to say peace out or goodbye or salutations or regards? Whatever you like.
You hit them all, but I guess I'll say adios.
Adios. Ciao. All right. Good luck out there. Bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Tao of Indifference podcast. If you liked this episode and want more sex, dating and relationship advice, subscribe to the Tao of Indifference on iTunes or Stitcher. Follow us on Twitter at indifferent_D and check out the blog at taoofindifference.com for more sex, dating and relationship advice. Thank you for listening and good luck out there.